Meet Chris Cormier, a name that resonates in the bodybuilding community. Who would have thought a kid from California would transform from an ordinary schoolboy into a bodybuilding contender? What drives someone to chase greatness, especially when the odds are stacked against them? From his early fascination with muscle magazines to sharing the stage with legends, Chris's story is anything but typical. But what happens when ambition meets adversity? How does one cope when the bright lights dim? Well, to know all about his story and hidden secrets, stay tuned till the very end. Chris Cormier, born on August 19, 1967, didn't jump into bodybuilding as a natural talent. Instead, he started out as an ordinary kid growing up in Palm Springs, California. But there was one thing that set him apart: an intense desire to get stronger. Why? Well, Chris was 2 to 3 years younger than most of his classmates because he had started school early and he felt the need to catch up, both physically and socially. Who wouldn't want to bulk up when you're the youngest kid in the room? When Chris was only 12 years old, he came across some bodybuilding magazines. He was amazed by the strong bodies of famous athletes like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lee Haney. "I saw those muscle-packed physiques and thought, I want that," he recalls. It's safe to say those glossy pictures lit a fire in him. Fortunately, Chris lived next to Timothy Bradley, who had a home gym that he affectionately called the Dungeon. Chris jumped at the chance to lift weights for the first time, and let's just say his body took the hint and started responding quickly. High school became a turning point for Chris when one of his teachers, Kathy Leah, recognized his potential. She encouraged him to enter a school bodybuilding competition, and that was just the push he needed. Talk about having someone in your corner. It was around the time that Chris caught a glimpse of the big leagues when he watched Mike Christian, Mr. California, and Tony Emmett, the NABBA Mr. Universe, compete. Seeing these athletes up close was like a lightning bolt for his passion. He knew he had to step up his game. In the beginning, Chris trained like a beast, focusing on lifting heavy weights with little regard for form. "I used to swing 200-pound dumbbells back and forth," he admits, and we can only imagine how many times he must have dropped them on his foot. His approach was intense, but it certainly worked. By the time he reached high school, his hard work was paying off. In 1984, Chris showcased his transformation by placing 4th in the 167-pound category at the California Interscholastic Federation State High School Wrestling Championships. That's pretty impressive for a kid who started out trying to catch up. But the real highlight of his early career came in 1987 when he won the NPC Teen Nationals. This victory marked his last competition as a teenager, and it was like a ticket to ride into the adult NPC competitions. With these early wins under his belt, Chris was all set to chase the ultimate prize, a professional bodybuilding card. He was ready to leave his teenage years behind and step into the spotlight as a serious competitor. So while his path to greatness wasn't obvious from the start, Chris's determination and grit turned him from a regular kid into a formidable force in the bodybuilding world. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to go from the kid who just wants to catch up to the real deal? That's some serious transformation. Chris Cormier's dedication to bodybuilding really paid off in 1993 when he won the NPC USA Championship. This victory earned him a pro card to the IFBB, which is like getting a VIP pass to the biggest stage in bodybuilding. From there, Chris's rise was nothing short of impressive. By 1994, he was consistently ranking among the top 10 in 5 different competitions. Not only that, but he qualified for the prestigious Mr. Olympia 6 times in a row, from 1994 to 1999. His physique was eye-catching, with thick muscles, sharp cuts, and perfect symmetry, making him a fan favorite. One of the highlights of Chris's career was the 2001 Arnold Classic, where he finished a close second. Many fans and critics believed he deserved to win because of his amazing shape and presentation. However, not everyone was impressed. Some critics said he didn't have the freak factor that guys like Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates showcased. Chris himself reflected on this later, saying, "I was a shy person on stage and it might have held me back." It's a bit surprising to hear a bodybuilder admit about being shy and how that could be a problem on stage, right? But Chris's journey wasn't all about trophies and applause. He faced significant challenges, especially in 2000, when he dealt with a severe back disc infection that forced him to step away from competing. But true to his character, he didn't let that stop him. He made a comeback and competed in Mr. Olympia in 2001, 2002, 2004, and 2005. Talk about determination. However, the pressure to maintain his impressive physique began to weigh heavily on him. The constant competition took a toll on his mental health, leading him into a dark place filled with depression and substance abuse. "I was living a dark life for several months," Chris admitted, revealing a side of him that fans rarely see. The drug use was something he had never dealt with before, but it quickly became his way to cope with the overwhelming stress. Unfortunately, this led to severe health problems, including a shoulder infection that spiraled into a life-threatening spinal infection. "With my genetics, I think it would have been better to do fewer shows than I did," he reflected, acknowledging the toll his relentless drive took on his body. The infection got so serious that it almost paralyzed him, and he even had to go into an induced coma. The physical and emotional strain on Chris Cormier during his health crisis was nothing short of overwhelming. He found himself in excruciating pain, desperately asking for painkillers while doctors hesitated to give him more. "I felt like I was dying already," he recalls, and with good reason. His hospital bill soared to an astonishing $1,000 a day, which is enough to make anyone's head spin. His once mighty physique began to fade, and Chris struggled not just physically, but emotionally, battling anxiety and depression. The public speculation about his health added to the pressure, making things even harder. He lost sponsors and strained personal relationships, turning him from the bodybuilder everyone admired into a man grappling with serious battles on multiple fronts. But here's where Chris really shows what he's made of. He refused to give in. With the support of family and friends, including fellow bodybuilder Dorian Yates, he started to fight back. "It was about proving to myself that I still had fight left," Chris stated, showing his determination to reclaim his life. He began attending events again, and people started to take notice of his resilience. This comeback wasn't just about getting back to his old self. It was about rebuilding his future with newfound self-belief and acceptance. Fast forward to today, and Chris Cormier's legacy in the world of bodybuilding is impressive and far-reaching. He now dedicates his time to mentoring and coaching aspiring bodybuilders, sharing valuable lessons learned from his own struggles. "By discussing my struggles with steroids and substance use, I hope to warn young athletes," he said, emphasizing the importance of awareness in the sport. His story serves as a powerful reminder that setbacks are a normal part of life. True strength isn't just about lifting weights, it's about rising up after falling down. Chris Cormier's journey into the world of bodybuilding is a roller coaster ride filled with triumphs, trials, and a bit of scandal. Known as the real deal, Chris made waves in the sport, yet not without stirring up some serious controversy. While many athletes in the bodybuilding arena embraced the freak factor, think massive muscle and eye-popping size, Chris took a different route. His critics often slammed him for not going all out. They claimed he played it too safe, lacking the colossal mass that champions like Ronnie Coleman showcased. But that's not all. Some fans even suggested that his shy and reserved presence on stage held him back from greatness. Chris himself has been candid about this darker chapter of his life, often reflecting on it as a period filled with reckless choices and serious health issues. He's now using his story as a warning for others, hoping they can learn from his missteps. Fortunately, there is a bright side to this story. The life of the real deal is now the focus of a brand new documentary. This project is a collaborative effort between producer Gary Phillips and director Davin Scargetta, who wanted to shine a light on Chris's life and struggles. The documentary features narratives from some of the most respected voices in bodybuilding, including legends like Peter McGough and gym owner and promoter Tony Doherty. You'll also hear from Hall of Fame athletes such as Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, Lee Priest, Kevin Levrone, Rolly Winklar, and Sean Ray. These are not just random folks. They're legends who've either competed with Chris or stood against him during his incredible journey. They've seen it all, from his rise to fame to the struggles that came later. The stories shared in this documentary are nothing short of remarkable. They detail Chris's climb to the top of the bodybuilding world, where he competed for the prestigious Mr. Olympia title. But the tale doesn't end there. Chris faced a lot of adversity, including serious injuries, the grip of addiction, depression, and even life-threatening experiences. This brings the harsh reality of life to the forefront. One moment you're at the peak of your career, and the next, you're facing hospitalization and grappling with your demons. Chris may not have snagged a Mr. Olympia title, but let's be clear, his mark on the bodybuilding scene is impossible to ignore. With a physique that perfectly balanced size, symmetry, and conditioning, he raised the bar for what it means to be a competitor in this demanding sport. Competing in 70 professional contests starting in 1993, Chris consistently landed in the top 5, which is a feat that many can only dream about. Talk about a consistent performer. One of Chris's standout moments came in 1997 when he took home the title at the Night of Champions. But he didn't stop there. He went on to claim victory at the Ironman Pro Invitational for 4 consecutive years. And that's not just impressive. That's a streak that would make even the most seasoned athletes a bit envious. His appearance at the 2001 Arnold Classic was another highlight, where he finished second. Many fans and critics felt he truly deserved the win, thanks to his exceptional form and presentation. You know you've made it when people are arguing about whether you should have won or not. Now, instead of just flexing for the cameras, Chris is putting his wealth of experience to good use by coaching and mentoring up-and-coming bodybuilders. He's working with young IFBB pros like Taylor Little, guiding them through the twists and turns of the sport. With his extensive knowledge about training, nutrition, and the sometimes murky politics of bodybuilding, Chris has become a go-to resource for those just starting their careers. I've been through it all, and if my story can help someone avoid the same mistakes, then it's worth sharing, he says. This honesty has helped him earn respect in the fitness community, where he's seen as someone who's navigated the highs and lows of the sport. So whether he's coaching the next generation or speaking out against the pitfalls of bodybuilding, Chris Cormier is proof that success isn't just about titles. It's also about the impact you leave behind. And in Chris's case, that impact is undeniably profound. For more such amazing videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more.